The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media. Welcome to Season 5 of Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Levy. I'm here to guide you on a journey of personal growth and fulfillment. Join me as we delve into the challenges of both business and personal life, aiming to discover our true selves and connect more deeply with the world around us. On this podcast, we'll explore the topics that inspire and empower us to become the best version of ourselves. From book reviews to interviews with iconic individuals, we'll have insightful conversations that resonate with your journey. And a big thank you to our sponsors, the Boys and Girls Club of America, Greater Neho Valley, and Levy's Deli for supporting the show and helping us bring these valuable discussions to you. Please share, rate, and review the podcast. And thank you so much for listening. You can also leave your comments at Kimberly Levy on social media. Thank you for your feedback and thank you for listening. Hello, you cute little schnitzels. Welcome back, bitches. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like there's a collective groan when people start talking about their year-end recaps and like goal podcasts. Like, I don't care about your fucking year. Sorry. Unless you're going to tell me how much money you made or like something really dramatic, like really good tea, then we can like, chit chat and hang out. But like, I don't need your year-end roundup of your like successes and failures and lessons learned. And I don't need a lesson from you. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I feel like it's so played out. Okay, so I won't do that to you. That's the good news. Well, actually, let's do this. You want to get a real recap of 2024? I have a dead mother. That's what happened in 2024. Okay, now you should feel great about however your year went. You're welcome. All right, let's dive into some fun. So, because I had a dying mother for the last several years, by the way, I'm really sorry if this is offensive to anybody, and I should probably disclaimer this, that my dead mother jokes are a coping mechanism. I'm highly and acutely aware of the fact that it probably makes you uncomfortable. I know that because they haven't landed very well, like in person when I make them. And I don't consciously make them. I just throw them out there because I don't know how else to like dance around it. And like when I talk about it, I'm not trying to like get sympathy or like, I don't need like consoling or crying. Like I got that down on my own. So okay, moving on. Next subject. So I was just saying that because I was dealing with that for so long, I hadn't traveled. Our family hadn't traveled, which, by the way, I would 10 times out of 10 make those exact same choices. So I'm not complaining either. I'm just letting you know these are the facts. So what's great about it is we went on a trip. That's what I'm trying to get at. We finally traveled as a family of 5, and I had no help. Which, if you know me, this is a very big achievement. I had traveled for 8 years, lived on the road for many, many years. And my key takeaway from living on airplanes for so many years was just don't bring kids on a plane if they are between the ages of like 3 months and 3 years. Just don't do it. I mean, you can do it. If you have to do it, then you do it. But like, if you don't have to do it, maybe not. Maybe just not. I just saw so many traumatized mothers and dads too, honestly speaking, but like the looks of despair and stress and anxiety and tears in the mother's eyes was enough. The repeated, consistent vision of that and experience of it was enough to just get me to say, I'm just going to wait it out. I'm going to wait it out. I'm not going to rush my, say 2-year-old onto a plane. And I didn't. So it all kind of worked out. London is not quite 3, but she's close enough where it was okay. So we went to Park City, Deer Valley, St. Regis. If you know us, we are St. Regis people. That started because I was a Starwood member traveling when I was in my heyday of traveling. So that was where I had my points and my this, that, and the other. Anyway, St. Regis, fabulous. It's kind of like Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus. You know what you're going to get every time. Okay. I want to tell you though, that the reason why we were able to afford that trip is because I used my points from Amex, which if you missed the episode on how to do that, I actually brought some ladies on and they told me, and the second we hung up from that call, I literally went into my Amex and like did what they said. So check out that episode. I think it was it was episode 143. Okay. Okay, yeah. So how was Park City? God, it was so fun. Okay, here's the thing. Let me tell you. Let me just really set the stage here. So I'm afraid of heights. All right. I don't know. I remember the first moment and the first time in my life where I actually was afraid of heights, and I was like, where did this come from? I never was afraid of heights. And then all of a sudden I was. It's terrible. Um, what happened was I was actually with my old company at a convention, at like a company week-long intensive in Orlando, Florida. And, they had one of those elevators where it's like clear. And I was going down the elevator, like normal Tuesday, going down the elevator, not a big deal. Started sweating and panicking. It was awful. I don't know. I like all of a sudden, I just got really anxious for some reason. Okay, moving on. So the reason why I'm bringing up the heights thing is because if you are like me and you're afraid of heights, or if you're not afraid of heights and you just don't like that feeling of like, whenever you go skiing or snowboarding, you go to like a mountain town, and 9 times out of 10, there's some terrifying, windy, narrow, uphill mountain situation to get to where you're going, like Mammoth, Big Bear, pretty much anywhere, Aspen, all these different ski locations. It makes perfect sense. You are going up a mountain that is high up, so you got to get up there, right? Well, last year, if you missed last year's debacle with Aspen, I had been traumatized for life. Like 6 hours of that in the snow where I literally thought we were going to all die. Yeah, I'm shocked that I was brave enough to even take a ski trip. Okay, so not to sound dramatic, but I'm just letting you know this is where I'm coming from. Like, I don't love that part of the trip. So what was so wonderful was we flew directly. So for those of you that are local, I know a lot of you local people listen, so I'll give you the local kind of insights. But basically, for those of you that aren't local, there's a small kind of satellite airport called Burbank. If you don't know about Burbank, man, you're missing out. It's essentially like I call like flying private out of Burbank because it's just so easy. It's like a little satellite airport in Burbank. You don't have to go to LAX. So we got a direct flight, Delta, from Burbank directly into Salt Lake. Now, Delta is the jam, and here's why. They have screens for your children. Nailed it. And they're kind. They're nice. So we got that direct flight. It's 2 hours from Burbank to Salt Lake. Easy. London. Oh my God. You guys, I wish I could have filmed this. She freaked out on the flight. Now, it wasn't her first flight, technically, because when she was like 0 to 3 months, I took her to, or that's not true. She was 8 months old. I did take her to Las Vegas, and, she had no memories and she cried the whole time. But so that was, as expected, awful. But this time she's like almost 3. She'll be 3 in like a month and a half. And the airplane starts to ascend, like take off. And she freaks out. She like literally like, when you press your hands down to your seat and your arms are straight and like, she was like, scary, scary, all done airplane, all done airplane. And everyone's like, she's screaming like, oh God, I was shocked and I couldn't help. Like I was like, it's okay. It's okay. Like I was trying to calm her down, but like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So anyway, thankfully, the second half of the flight, she passes out on my lap. It was the cutest thing ever. But anyway, she did good because she freaked out and then she watched TV and then she passed out. So that was great. Carter and Charlotte, absolutely fine. They're 7 and 8, easy breezy, chilling, no problems, nothing to talk about. Okay, cool. So we land at Salt Lake. Now look, your girl over here is not going to be schlepping around like the car seats. Okay. I'm not doing the stroller that collapses. No, I'm tired. I got 3 kids. I got a husband. I got a dead mom. I got a business. Like, I'm too tired to schlep the things. I'm 40 now. Okay. So I'm trying to do the least. And yes, I will shamelessly throw some money at it if I have to. And that's exactly what your girl did. We got a driver. It's a fortune. I was not going to go figure out the rental car situation and carry a car seat around and deal with all that trauma and drama. Like, no, it's just a hard no for me. If I'm going to do this, I need to make it as like, it's already enough that I don't have anybody helping me, right? So by the way, best move ever. Get the driver, right? He comes into the airport, which he technically, like you technically are supposed to pay extra for that. He was so nice. The people in Salt Lake, they're so lovely. Lovely. Okay, let me set the stage. We walk out of our flight, and my kids are going, Mommy, this is the best airport ever. Like Carter said, it's so what do you say? Like underrated. He's like, it has everything you could want. So he's already happy just landing in that lovely airport in Salt Lake. And it's, a long walk. And the driver had already been there. He was already on top of it. He walks in, even though technically we were supposed to be paying more for that service. Nope, he took it upon himself to do it anyway. You walk out, and there's all these signs from the lovely Mormon people out there that are welcoming their missionaries. There's kids, there's families, there's signs. It's beautiful. It brought me back to the old days when your family could walk you to the gate. Now, they can't walk you to the gate, but it's right outside of the gate area. And it was wholesome. It was heartwarming. It was lovely. And it felt like it's so nice that I don't have to apologize here for having children, 3 children. So I was already immediately feeling all the goodness, all the warm and fuzzies. Everything was just hunky-dory. And our lovely driver has the car seat already installed. It's this wonderful Escalade, I think, or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a car person. Whatever. It's one of those big, nice black cars that's roomy and appropriate for families of 5. So everything was great. And the reason why I'm telling you this part is because I want to just highlight something that was so different. Going to actual Deer Valley, which is 45 minutes from the airport, could not have been easier. And so not only did we have this lovely logistical situation with this lovely man, but it wasn't scary. I don't understand why it wasn't scary. It was the only, I have been almost every year for my whole life, I've been to the mountains. And now I only go maybe once or twice a year maximum. So I'm not trying to overstate that I'm some ski guru, because believe me, I'm not. Your girl's basically still beginner, consistent beginner. That's what we are. And I'm perfectly satisfied with that. But what was so cool was we never got to the windy, scary road, even though it had just snowed a couple days before, or the day before, I think. There was no ice on the road. There was no narrow, windy, don't look down moments. None of that gripping, it was easy. Nice wide roads, nice clean roads, not too much traffic, even though we went through the downtown area on a Friday. And it was or on a Thursday, whatever that day was that we flew in. It was logistically lovely. And I think as a mother and as a parent, that matters. It counts. And so that's what I'm leaving you with, if nothing else. Spend a little extra money. Make your logistics a little easier, because it's enough that you have to manage your family and all the things. So that was a huge win. I'm going to call that a huge win. But honestly speaking, after I realized oh, this is so easy to get into Deer Valley between the direct plane ride and, the easy drive, I would do this every year. I was already sold. I'm already won over. I loved you, Aspen, but you all know I was traumatized. If you don't know what I'm talking about with the Aspen trauma, if you did not hear that story, it was traumatic, okay? So you just go ahead and listen to last year at this exact week of last year, and you will see, you will hear, you will be entertained. I have reels, I have visuals, it's a whole thing. Okay, great. We get there, we get to the St. Regis, and it's just beautiful. It's this hotel tucked away on this mountain, in the mountain. And it's literally ski in, ski out, which is basically where you can see the slopes and go right into the slopes. It's just, again, logistics matter. Now I'm going to continue on, because I actually have even better. I have something that's even counts more than just the getting there part, right? So we get there. There's all these trees throughout Park City that are all lit up because, it's Christmas time. We go a week before Christmas because it's too crowded and too expensive to go on, the week of Christmas or between Christmas and New Year. So we always do this where we pull our kids out of school early. Now, there's mixed feelings about that, because then you get stuck with your kids an extra week, but it's more affordable. bottom line, more affordable. Okay, so that's what we do. And it's not as crowded, which counts for a lot as well. So we get there, and I'm just like, from the moment we drive up to I'm one of those people, from the moment I drive up to a property, I know if I love it or hate it. I am very, very picky about where I stay. And to quote my really good friend, Hillary Thornton, who, by the way, shout out Hillary because she just had a baby. Congrats. She said, if it's not nicer than my house, I'm not going. And I want to say hell yes to that. That is absolutely facts. So if I am not satisfied with the property from the moment I see it, I'm not happy. Like, I already know it's out. That's why I like to stick with the St. Regis, because it never fails. So anyway, but this particular St. Regis really, the setting really did take my breath away. It was dark. We pull up and there's all these trees lit up in white Christmas lights, and it's magnificent. It's just absolutely magnificent. So we get there and everything's good. You know, they upgraded our room because I had used my Amex to book it. Or maybe I did my Marriott Bonvoy. Either way, I'm a member, whatever. It was lucky. You know, when they say, oh, when we've already upgraded your room, I'm like, oh, that's so great. So that's another thing. When it's that busy week, they're never going to upgrade your room because it's full. So we got upgraded. So everything was swimming. Truly lovely. I just want to tell you something. That St. Regis has a daycare. So what we do is every year, Brian and I are not strong enough skiers, and we are not the people that are trying to impress other people with our ski skills at all. This is one of Brian's best qualities, is that he is like just a little tinge better of a skier than I am. And it makes me feel great because we can just literally chill. We can go on bunny runs. We can go on green all day long. We're not trying to prove anything to anybody. We're not trying to rush. There's no pressure. We're not trying to impress each other or one-up each other. We just dump our kids off at the ski school all day long. By the way, that ski school takes your children, Carter and Charlotte, from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Like, nailed it. And of course, being the fabulous parents we are, we bring them at 9:15 and dump them off early. That's exactly right. Now with London, she's not 3. So yes, could we get $40 skis from Amazon and teach her ourselves? Absolutely. Are we those people that are confident and patient enough to do that? Absolutely not. Hard no. Not happening. Like, I thought I might be that parent. Turns out I'm not that parent. I want to do the least. Okay? And I'm sorry, I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. At least I'm self-aware about it. All right? Hats off to all of you people that roll up your sleeves and teach your kids how to ski or snowboard when they are 2 years old. Okay? Really, I do admire you. Okay, so they have a daycare. Well, I don't really know what to expect because you know how these hotels have these like kids clubs. Well, I always thought that you drop off your kid for an hour or two at those things because you're going to dinner. I didn't really know the depth and breadth of their capabilities and the infrastructure and support they have. Well, this particular property has a full daycare, which I later find out that it's actually a full daycare like year round for local people. So it's not just for the hotel, but you basically on your way to your lesson, it's like literally right next door to where you get your ski rentals. It's in the same building. They have this lovely daycare. And it's truly lovely. It has an indoor playground. It's well staffed. It's clean. It's pristine. It includes your child's lunch. Yes, I'm not making this up. They're good. They nap your child. So we would take London because she's not old enough for ski lessons because you have to be 3. That's typically the minimum. And she's just shy of it, and that's fine. And she's like so jazzed about it. They're doing story time. They're doing circle time. They take them outside to the snow. It's great. It's really lovely. I was super impressed. Hats off to Deer Valley. Like, truly nailed it. So I have to say, I had heard that Deer Valley was great for families. Well, after having done Mammoth and Big Bear and Aspen with family, I will say Deer Valley is it for your family ski vacation, especially if you want to do the least. Okay. Now, Aspen, I would say that's like the couples trip. Like, you have those fun, foodie, hip, cool, like just awesome, fun couples you want to go with. Like, you go to Aspen, you leave your kids at home and you go to Aspen and you do the most. You bring your most fabulous glow up, glam ski attire and diamonds, and you go to Aspen and you turn up. That's what you do in Aspen. Okay. Now I got that wrong. Okay. Admittedly. So learn from my failures. I'm trying to give you the Cliffs Notes of how to be successful in your vacations. So that's sort of like the different vibes, right? Aspen, you do with your friends. It's high end, it's high class, it's fun, it's foodie, it's nightlife, it's chic, it's glamour. Deer Valley, easy for families and upscale, right? That's sort of that. Okay, that's how that goes. Okay, so basically, yes, we had a great trip, but here was the real kicker. I have clients whose podcasts I have launched. It's called JK, It's Not About You, a little plug on that. It's about these two women. One is from Malibu, one is from West LA, and they both moved to Park City. They raised their kids. Now they're 50. One's married, one's divorced and dating, and they are hilarious. Hilarious. Like, if you're not an empty nester, you want to still watch them. If you're an empty nester, you're just gonna, I mean, just their intro alone. Every time I listen to it, I crack up. It's so funny. Like Kelly, she goes, "We were domestic engineers." I mean, it's just hilarious. These women are magical, and I'm not even just saying that. They are truly iconic women, and I got to spend 2 nights with them. It was the best. You know, when you follow somebody on social media or a podcast and you've never really spent time with them in person, and you're like, you feel like you really know them, but then in your mind, they're kind of like these celebrities in a way, right? Because you're like, I don't really know you, but I'm obsessed with you and I know you, you know? I sat there our first dinner. I went to dinner. Brian stayed home with the kids because they were so exhausted. Initially, they were going to come with us. So Kelly owns, it's called Firewood. Her and her husband, John, own this really high-end restaurant in Park City on Main Street, which is basically the cat's meow spot. She closes off the private dining room for just me, Jen, and Kelly, and we get to have a girls' night. It was awesome. Oh, and I had never met Kelly in person. That's the other thing. Crazy, right? So I'm sitting there, you guys, and I'm like, this restaurant is absolutely fabulous, and I did not expect it to be this like upscale and amazing, just because like they're not going to be like, this is the most upscale and amazing restaurant in Park City, but it is. So that was just lovely. But seeing them and getting to be with them, and like, I felt like I was in a movie. I was like, oh my God, I'm in your life with you right now. This is wild. And they were so much better in person. It was just crazy. And I'm sitting here as a fan. Like, I'm literally sitting here with them, and I meet with them every single week. You know, I edit all their shows, and I'm like a real fan because they're just that good. And I'm sitting there in the flesh with them, and I am fangirling. Okay, so the key takeaway for you guys as far as Firewood is go there. If you are looking for somewhere awesome to eat in Park City, this is, yes, an absolute shameless plug, and it's only because it is so good. In fact, it's so good, and I didn't even tell Kelly this, but when I got in, so the St. Regis, just again, to toot their horn, like they need it, but they send a shuttle if you're within a 5-mile radius. So I got picked up by a shuttle after having the best time with these ladies, and guess what happened? The couple that was already in the car, they had already been picked up before me. They're like, "Oh, we love Firewood. It's our favorite restaurant in Park City." And I was like, "Oh, get out." Like, anyway, so yes, wonderful restaurant, fancy food. Apparently for Sundance, they get like crushed. Like, they get so many people there that it's just like, I guess it's crazy. And Kelly was telling me that sometimes she'll have to actually like sleep over there at the restaurant because it's that busy during Sundance, which actually happens in January. Okay, so yeah, so that's kind of that. We also ended up, Brian kind of surprised us because he's like, I want to get out of the hotel. I don't want to eat here the whole time. So he kind of surprised me and was like, I am going to give everybody a shopping budget. And I was like, wait, what? So he basically took me, Carter, and Charlotte to downtown Park City, and we went to Kimosabi. He brings me to a salesperson and is like, she's going to get a hat. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that we were going to get another hat because last year in Aspen, so if you guys don't know, Kimosabi is where all the Real Housewives go when they're in Aspen, and they get these like fancy cowboy hats. And what's so cool about the experience is they customize the hat to you. Now, this is a complete overpriced experience, and I just want to like let you know that up front, because our friends that are like from Texas that are like actual cowboys and all that kind of stuff, they're like, it's ridiculous to spend that kind of money. But you know what? I gotta say, I fell for it. Okay, I'm hooked. It's like has this kind of cult-like type following, these Kimosabi hats, and they have a partnership with Stetson, and you can get a Stetson hat for like, a fraction of the price. So I'm just telling you that you absolutely don't have to, make me aware of the fact that it's basically a complete ripoff. But you know what? We have drank the Kool-Aid and we really love our Kimosabi hats. So it's so cool because they fit it to your head. You pick your color, then it's like a hour to 2 hour experience when you're there. It's not like you just go shopping for a hat and you walk out. No, this is very different. It is an experience. It's why Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez were just there drinking, because in the Aspen location in actually Park City, they have alcohol and a bar upstairs. And Park City, it's one story, but they have it anyway, whatever. So it's a whole vibe, okay? It's a whole vibe. So he walks me in, has me pick a Kimosabi hat out, and I'm kind of like, I don't even think I want this, but like I felt bad because it felt like he was very like this is what we're doing kind of thing. So I kind of didn't want to let him down. And then once I just got comfortable, I went and enjoyed the experience. So we got to pick out hats, and then they customize it. Now the kids did not pick out hats. It's not appropriate for young kids. They're still growing. The hats are way too expensive. He took the kids out of there and took them shopping for whatever they wanted to get in a more appropriate store. But the experience of Kimosabi is a really fun one. You get your own sales associate that comes and, you pick your hat style. There's all different kinds of hat styles. There's different brands. And then you pick your color, and they have different materials, etc. So it's really a whole experience, and they fit it to your head. And then once you pick your hat, then you can decorate it. And so it's pretty much like your Kimosabi hat is one of one. There's never going to be another Kimosabi hat like yours out there in the world. It just doesn't happen because you customize the decorations. Now, some of the decorations really add up, but your girl over here is a little bit of a penny pincher, and I don't let them upsell me into the $200 charms in addition to your very expensive hat. So I just go for like the free feathers, and the free yarn and things like that. And it's enough. But for a man's hat, you do probably need to get that upgraded. Like they're too plain, and your guy's not going to put, feathers and things, or maybe he will. I don't know. Whatever. I always make Brian get like some kind of leather upgraded charm thing for his hat, because that's all he's going to put on his hat. It needs to be rugged and manly. But what they do at the end is they brand it for you. And so I have them put my initials on the back of the back left of my hat. So now I have 3 Kimosabi hats. So I have them brand it for me. It just makes it feel really special. Then, of course, I bully my husband into getting his branded. He does his under the bill, and he has this like firearms, whatever. Anyway, he has his own little thing that he does, and it's great. And if you want to see videos of this, I actually have them from last year when we were in Aspen and they did it. And I don't remember, I don't think I posted it on my public account, but I can make a reel and show you if you guys want to see how they make the hats and all the details, but it's real fun. So that was super fun. We did that. And then we went ice skating at Jen's. So again, my clients turn, by the way, all my clients end up being like my best friends because I'm so obsessed with them. I'm so in love with my clients. I love launching their podcasts, and I become such a big fan of them and their vision, and I just love their shows so much that I truly become like a real fan of theirs. So it becomes like client turn fan turn, of course, friends, because I'm obsessed with them. So we got to go over to Jen's place, and she lives in this stunning, spectacular community. Anyway, we go there, and it's spectacular there. It is like, I was envisioning like an all-inclusive small community with like maybe a clubhouse situation where there might be a restaurant and maybe a pool outside and maybe a small little gym. No, this place is so over the top spectacular that it was shocking. I walked out of there being like, Brian, we're moving. We are moving tomorrow. Put on an offer. First of all, there's tons of construction, but it is massive. The community is so much bigger. I've never seen a community that big. Any local gated community, North Ranch, Sherwood, yeah, it's like times 10 that. Like the scale is hard to even explain. It's such a large property. And everywhere you look, there's another new home being built. And these homes are huge. They're anywhere from 5,000 square feet to 10,000 square feet. And I actually, the first house I saw when we were driving, I was like, oh, that must be the clubhouse, because it was this like giant building. No, it's just another home. They're all like that. As I looked around, I was like, oh, they're all the size of a clubhouse. Some of them are like 15,000 square feet. They're massive. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. And anyway, cost-wise, it's nothing like you would see in California. So I don't want to say it's affordable because, as you can imagine, it's still pricey, but it's a lot more affordable than you would ever see in California. So I was jazzed on this community. I didn't even get into the rest of it. So then they have 4 restaurants on the property, okay? Yes, 4. They have ice skating. They have a ski run. They have tennis courts. They have multiple gyms. So we get in there, and of course, my little brats are like crying, I need to go pee. I need water. You know how kids are. So we go into the quote unquote bathroom. It's like a 4-season spa. You guys, I'm not kidding you. It has, how they have like all the little goodies when you're at the spa, like the free brushes you can use that then they'll recycle and like somehow clean. They have the free mouthwash. They have probably the free razors. They have all this free, like all the free goodies, the self-care goodies that are for free that you want to just shove them all in your purse and run like hell. They have all that. And it's big. It's this big, they have this steam room, the sauna. I kid you not, I was dumbstruck. They have a beautiful indoor pool with jacuzzis. Then they have the outdoor pool. It was like heaven. I don't even know how else to begin to describe it. It was absolutely spectacular. Far exceeded anything I could have possibly imagined. I didn't even know places like this existed. It was that fabulous. And anyway, so then of course, naturally, they have a ton of ice skates out there with every size on a rack, just sitting there waiting for you to go grab your respective size, all the way down to if you have a baby with you like I did. So they ice skate. And everybody's ice skating, and London's ice skating or attempting. Sweet Brian, God bless him. He's the one that always teaches his job. You know how when you're in a marriage and like your husband has like their respective, functional jobs. For example, he's the trash taker outer, you're the dishwasher, he's the technical support and the spider killer, right? Like we all have our roles. Like I'm the one that's going to always make the bed, or, I don't do laundry, although I had to this week because Nellie was out. But anyway, we all have our jobs, right? Well, one of his jobs in our family is he teaches the kids how to ice skate because he knows how to ice skate because he used to play ice hockey. And I don't have the patience and I don't have the skill to do that. So I get London ready and I basically hand her off to Brian, who proceeds to attempt to get her to ice skate while I sit back and video the whole thing. So it was just so fabulous. And we got to meet Jen's family and her daughter, Sarah, who is just incredible. First of all, she's incredibly beautiful. She's beyond smart. I couldn't even believe it. I was stunned by this young woman. And I'm like, God, if I had my stuff together like some of these young people, I can't even imagine where I would have gone in life because they are so impressive. They're just like, they're mature. They're on point. They have their stuff together. Like they have goals that are like really clear and like, they're like real, like, I don't know. There's something very captivating. I was very taken with Sarah and her lovely boyfriend, Leo. I truly was very taken with them. I loved them. I loved them so much. It was such a highlight to get to meet them both. So anyway, we do that. We ice skate. They really ice skate. I went on for a quick second with London, but then quickly realized it's not my journey to be teaching. Like, what am I doing? This is not my lane. But she had been crying for me. So like I tried to humor her for a few minutes. Long story short, I was the one filming it. So then we take everybody off the ice skating rink and then we take them to one of the restaurants on site, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump, a little walk to, the next clubhouse down the way. And it was like a place that you could eat off the floors. It was like, had a bar. It was the one that's like the kid-friendly one out of all the 4 restaurants. And it had a basketball court. It had a bowling alley. It had, what are those games? Was it shuffleboard and the arcade? But it wasn't like grimy. It was like beautiful. Like it looked like it was built yesterday. It was, I'm telling you, this place was beyond spectacular and lovely. It was fabulous. But what was so great, like I said in general about Utah, is that I think probably because of the Mormon community being what it is, which is they're so family centric and they love all these kids and they have these big families, you don't get the side eye from people. You don't get punished by having kids, and everything is set up so that it accommodates. Like they know your kids need to run around over dinner, and that's why there's a basketball court with perfect basketballs with 20 kids playing. Like they already got you. They set you up for success. It is lovely. Lovely. Okay. And shout out to everybody in Utah. And actually, I want to say the next night when we went out to dinner, they squeezed us in despite having all these kids. You know what happened at the end after my little brats were crying because they were overly tired? And, at the end of the meal, after they've been sitting down for 2 hours, they lose it. That was going on. They were falling apart at the seams. I was walking out, like dragging London out, who I think was still probably screaming, crying again, because this child is so overtired at this point. A woman stops me as I'm walking out. She goes, "I just want to let you know your kids are adorable." I'm sorry, what? My kids are brats. They are, you know what? They're not. Okay, this sounds really bad. I love my kids. They're wonderful kids. They truly are wonderful, and I'm so grateful for them. I just want to make that so crystal clear that they're the light of my life. And I'm obsessed with them, and they are wonderful, sweet, loving kids. Thank God. They're not really brats. I just want to say that. But what I'm saying is all the kids are brats. Kids are kids. So I just want to let's just make sure that we throw that in there. I'm obsessed with my kids. They got me through my mother's death. They keep me present. They are my lifeline, as is Brian and everybody in my family and friend circle. But we all know they have their moments, particularly at the end of a long day and an evening, right? So the fact that some stranger stops me to compliment my children was so off-brand for what you see living in LA. It just isn't, that never happens. That will never happen, ever. So I just want to reinforce, the moral of the story is the people in Utah, they are so friendly, they are helpful, they are kind, they are warm, they are family-centric, and I love them. I love you, Utah. I'm obsessed. So that was sort of that. Now, the St. Regis, I have to tell you 2 other really cool highlights, just in case you're looking for maybe next year. They have carolers that come in, and they entertain you in the lobby, and they sing for you. And every night from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., they are celebrating. They are doing not sparring. What is that called? Savoring. So every St. Regis at 5 o'clock or 5:30, whatever the time at sundown, they do like a saber where they cheers. They it's essentially like a very fine way of doing a happy hour. And they do a little ceremony, and then they take a sword and they splice off the top of a champagne bottle. It's like a saber. Anyway, so they do that. But in addition to that, they had these really beautiful carolers, which we loved. So I got some pictures of them, video of them singing, and the lobby was full, and there's fireplaces everywhere. It's cozy. And, it was about 30 degrees outside. So it wasn't freezing at all, relative to other parts of the country. But so we got really lucky with that. They also had deer. Of course, not deer. Oh, shoot. What do they call them? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not good at this. Like, know your strengths and weaknesses. But whatever Sven is, what is it? A moose? From Frozen. All I know is I told London we're going to go meet Sven. Well, they had like these moose that are like basically antler, the antlers. Forgive me. I'm just not good at this. But she loved it. The kids loved meeting Sven. They had 2 of them outside, little animals, and it was just lovely. It was absolutely incredible. Now, there is one little thing I didn't think I was going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you because why not? Okay, so if you have not traveled at the St. Regis, I'm going to let you in on something. Now, they give you a butler. Okay, now that gives me a little bit of an ick. honestly speaking, it's like, can we call them maybe like I don't know, a staff member, somebody that's, I don't know, a something a little bit less. It just feels like the term butler feels a little like, I don't know, makes me a little uncomfortable. I'm just being honest. But anyway, they offer to unpack for you and steam 2 shirts. They press shirts like 2 a day, and they shine shoes. Okay. Now, we've been going to the St. Regis since long before we were married and long before we were engaged. And so we know all about this, right? Well, I've always, my entire life, been like, who has someone unpack for you? Like, I don't want anyone touching my underwear. And also, I bring like 6 things. When I travel, I do not travel heavy. It's like, I'm just a minimalist, okay? So I bring a very small amount of clothes, and I really I bring what I absolutely need, and that's about it. But keep in mind, we now are a family of 5 on a ski trip, which requires a ton of layers. There's thermals, there's sweaters, there's jackets, there's puffers, there's hats, there's gloves, there's shoes, there's boots, there's ski socks. There's all these different things that go into, bringing your family to a ski town. It's a lot. So for the first time ever, in, I kid you not, 20 years, when they said, we will unpack for you, for the first time ever, I said, okay. Yes, I let them unpack for me for the first time ever. And now I understand why they have the service, because guess what? Do you know how long those people had to come? There were 2 people that came in, lovely, wonderful people that came in, and they unpacked. And it took them over an hour to unpack. Is that insane? It's because that's the magnitude of stuff you have, even as a minimalist. That's how much stuff you have to bring when you have this many kids and this many people on a ski trip. And of course, we tipped them incredibly well. And we came in when they were wrapping up, and we tiptoed around them, and we thanked them profusely. And they did a magnificent job. They saved me probably 2 hours of work, and it was lovely. And I appreciate you, St. Regis, and those lovely humans that unpacked my family. And yes, we did tip them handsomely because they deserve it. So anyway, now I'm going to give you one last hack. Let me think if there's any other. Okay. I'm going to give you one more highlight. Then I'm going to give you a final hack on travel, and then we're going to wrap. Okay. One more quick thing. They had this thing called what is it called? The vestibular? No, it's called something weird, but basically it's like this elevator almost. What is it? Funicular, I think it's called. It's an elevator that takes you from the top of the mountain, from the St. Regis Hotel down to the lower part of the hotel. It's so cool and interesting. It's such a cool property tucked away. And when Brian and I didn't tell you, when we were at the top of the mountain, we could see the St. Regis tucked in. It was truly tucked into the mountain. It's just such a cool property. But anyway, and the skiing up there was spectacular, and the views were spectacular. And I was very afraid to go up there because your girl, she's afraid of heights. Well, Brian pushed me, and he requested to go. And that man does not ask for much from me. I'll be very honest with you. He does not ask much of me. So when that man opens his mouth and he has a request of me, I almost always say yes. Truly. I mean, I give him a hard time. I don't let him know that it's that easy. But I was really afraid, and I did it anyway. And I was super proud of myself, and it was not scary, and it was lovely. And I will tell you, those views were magnificent. So they have beginner runs at the top of Deer Valley. They ended up taking my children up there, which I didn't even know about till we left. Yes. So even your kids that are new skiers, by the way, Carter and Charlotte, great skiers by the end, better than me and Brian. Not even kidding. Shout out about that. And they give the kids hot chocolate, and they feed them. It's great. But if you're afraid, and you're afraid well, I have to be a stronger skier. No, they have beginner runs. They got you covered. You can go to the top of the mountain and enjoy yourself and have the most magnificent views. It is breathtaking, and the snow is way better. And the reason why that matters is because it's easier to ski when it's powdery, because the higher up you are, you get better snow, right? Okay. So that's another just hot little tip on that. But I want to tell you, this is a broad travel hack. I've shared it before. I'm going to share it again because I want to remind you. Going back to the packing for a quick second. This is the way Brian and I do it, and this is a winning strategy. And you know me, I don't have a whole lot of parenting wins. My kids are almost 9 years old and just learned how to they just self-taught themselves. how to ride a bike. Okay, so that's where we're at in the scheme of like if there's milestones and there's a bell curve, like I always say, we're always on the tail end, like right before you need interventions. That's where we always are when it comes to milestones. So you always feel good about yourself when you hang out with me. Okay. The last hot tip I'm going to give you guys, if you don't already know this, because it is genius and we do it every trip and it works every single time, like magic. The day you are traveling home from your trip, your kids you know how you have that awkward time period when you're supposed to be frantically packing all your family up and the kids are just going to be in the way and they're not going to be helpful. And then you're just frustrated and frantic because you're trying to make your flight. Yeah. So instead of that situation, what we do is they go to the pool with your husband. Okay. This serves two purposes. This is very important. They get tired at the pool. They get their energy because you know what's going to happen? They're about to sit down in a car for an hour to the airport. Then they're going to sit in the airport for an additional hour. Then they're going to sit on the plane for an additional 2 hours. Then they're going to sit in the car on the way home for an additional hour. So at minimum, they're going to be sitting down for 5 to 6 hours, and they're kids and they're restless and they hate sitting, right? They're full of energy. Bless their hearts. We wish we all had that level of energy at our age. Okay. So the hack is tire them out for that awkward period. Get them out of I almost said the dorm or the condo. Get them out of wherever you are, whether it's a Airbnb or a hotel, get them out of the hotel room. Get them to go play in the pool for as long as humanly possible. 3 hours, nailed it if you can. Now make sure you leave enough time to remember, turn them over because they have to come back. Then you bathe them. Then you put them in their jammies or their comfy travel clothes. And that takes, budget an hour for that, right? So you got to really map this stuff out. So if you have a 4-hour window, the kids can go swim for 3 hours while you frantically pack and listen to a podcast, for example. And then they come back, they eat, they bathe, they change, and you're already packed and you leave. So as Brian has the kids out there, bless his heart, he took all 3. And London obviously can't swim yet because she's not even 3. She's literally 2 3/4. So he takes them, they get tired, they have a blast. Guess what I get to do? Pack for 3 hours in silence. Silence. Best sound ever, right? So me being a lunatic, of course, I'm listening to informational podcasts because, that are around business because my brain never stops around business and my business and I love you and I want to launch your podcast. And by the way, contact me if you want to have a podcast. I'm not good at plugging myself on this show, but basically for 3 hours, I am triaging what I did was for my packing strategy for all 5 of us was as follows. I pick one human at a time and I pack them. So what I did was I had all their dirty laundry all in one bag the whole time. Then I take, let's just say, I think I started this trip with, whose suitcase? Was it London? I think I actually started with London. And I pack all her shit first. I pack all of London's stuff. Okay, so I start with all the clean clothes first and the shoes and all of that. Then I also take out the bag of laundry from the whole week that accumulated. The reason why I do that is so that I don't have dirty clothes everywhere. Okay, everybody's dirty clothes go in the dirty laundry basket, so to speak, which is really a giant bag. Okay, I dump out the whole bag of everybody's dirty laundry. I know, it's so sexy. And I triage. So I take out all the baby's dirty stuff and I actually refold everything. I know you're going to think I'm a lunatic, but I do this because I can't jam. There's too much stuff to be jamming things and hoping and wishing and praying that it works. It's not going to work. It's like a Rubik's Cube. It's hard to fit all this stuff. Remember, there's multiple ski jackets. There's ski pants. There's boots. There's a lot of stuff for each of us. So it has to work. So I dump out the laundry. I take London's dirty socks, dirty whatever she has, refold it up. And I've found that pretty much 98% of by the time I get home, by the way, all of the clothes end up in the laundry, whether they wore it or not. Unless it's so clear that they did not wear it, then I will, maybe I'll pull out one clean bathing suit or something. But even just by being mixed in with everything's dirty, right? So I just pretty much expect that to do a ton of laundry when I get home. And by the way, this is the underbelly of the packing of the trips with families that nobody talks about, is the unpacking and all this stuff that's not fun and not sexy. But basically what I do is I then repack every single human one at a time, painstakingly, but leisurely and in silence. So I'm not mad. I'm enjoying myself. Yes, you might think, well, why didn't you have the butlers pack for you? I don't want to do it to them. That's why. We have dirty stuff and it's going to confuse them. And I don't have the heart to do that to anybody. Honestly, I don't. I'm sorry. That's just me. So that's what I did. I individually packed up 5 people over 3 hours. And then Brian brought home the kids as planned. They ate, they bathed, everything. Oh, I laid out their clothes that I knew that they were going to need for our travel, obviously, because that's your girl. Everything was perfectly organized. Everything was good. And yeah, so that was kind of that. Oh, the one last thing I do have to tell you, there was a minor little debacle, and this is where I got it wrong. I packed up everybody on the way there, and guess what? I forgot. Oops, I forgot to pack ski clothes for myself. Now, when I say ski clothes, I mean like I got my thermals, I got like boots and stuff to like walk around the snow. I completely forgot to bring myself ski pants and a ski jacket. So we went on a shopping spree and I spent a ton of money getting a new ski sweater, getting new pants, getting a new jacket. Oh well, literally probably cost me a fortune. And here's the other last hack I'm going to leave you with. When you're in those situations, one, don't panic. Just go spend the money because you don't have a choice. And two, when they say, oh, here, would you like your receipt? Or even before that step, they say, okay, your total comes to, you go, no. And you cover your ears and you say, please do not tell me what the total is. You're going to ruin my day. I just got new ski clothes. I already know it's way overpriced. So let's just move on because I don't have a choice and I don't want to leave here upset. I'm going to enjoy this moment and I will be upset later when I pay the bill. Okay? So that's my little hack when you're in these situations. Don't ruin your day over it. Don't get stressed out. There's nothing you can do to fix the situation. I just tell them up front when I'm shopping, don't give me the most expensive thing. I want sale. I want something that's on the more affordable level. Do not give me the best, brightest, most expensive thing. It's not in the budget. So just give me something that is good enough. Okay. And so that's how I handle that situation. I don't panic. I tell them up front to give me the least, and then it's still going to be way overpriced and a fortune compared to say, I don't know, Amazon or Big Five or whatever. Do people still go to Big Five? I don't know. And that's that. And don't ruin your day over it. And you're just going to have to deal with it later. So that's that. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. This was fun. I'm glad we caught up. I'm so glad I didn't have to talk about New Year's resolutions and more bad stuff about 2024. By the way, 2024, I will say, you know what was so great about it? I launched my business. And I'm just going to remind you, I love launching your podcast. It is my passion. If you have the itch, please come to me and we will scratch it. Please. I really want to be the one to launch your podcast. I know you're afraid to do it. I know you're confused by how to do it. And I know that because that was me. That's why I started this wonderful company. And we are launching so many shows in 2025. I cannot wait to share them all with you. I'm so grateful. And that was the highlight of 2024 for me, was having the balls to just go for it. And man, who cares? You know, if it fails, oh well, I'll start over, you know? Oh well, but it's not failing, thankfully, at least not today. So with that, thank you for listening. Please, if you do like this podcast, can you please rate it 5 stars and leave a comment? Like, give me something. I'm not asking. This is free. Free. I'm asking for nothing. Okay. Thank you for listening. Bye. All right. That is it for today. Thank you very much for listening, and be sure to follow us at Iconic Nation Media and send us a direct message and comment on some of our posts so that we can hear your feedback and incorporate them into our show. We appreciate you listening, and we look forward to catching you next week.